G'day mates, Bruce here. A few years back, a bloke named Ron gave me a call. He'd just retired. He'd worked hard his whole life. He'd saved a small fortune, well over $1 million all up. By every number that counts, Ron had won. And yet, he was living a life that looked nothing like a winner. The worst part? He thought that was a good thing.
Most people reckon the biggest danger in retirement is running out of money. But if you're a careful saver, the kind of person who watches videos like this, the real danger is the exact opposite. The way your brain is wired can keep you working years longer than you need to. And when you finally do stop, it can quietly steal the retirement you earned. You won't even notice it happening.
So today, I'll show you the simple steps to break out of that trap. We'll use Ron as our example. Why he was stuck, what finally got through to him, and how he went from hoarding every dollar to spending twice as much and feeling better than he had in years.
And before you think this doesn't apply to you because you haven't got $1 million, this isn't about how much you've got. It's about how good a saver you are. Here's the irony, mate. The better you are at saving, the harder it is to ever spend it.
And the numbers back this up. The government's own Retirement Income Review looked at how Aussies actually use their super. What did it find? Most people draw the bare minimum the law forces them to take, and then they die with the bulk of their super still sitting there, untouched. 40 years of saving left on the table.
Now, in Australia, there's a rule. Once you start an account-based pension, you must draw a minimum each year. It starts at 4% under 65, 5% from 65, and it climbs as you get older, all the way to 14% by your mid-90s. But here's the thing, people take that minimum out of their super and then just park it in the bank. They don't spend it. The saver's brain won't let them.
So why does this happen? Think about what actually changes the day you retire. For 40 years, money just arrived. Every month, a pay packet landed in your account. You never had to think about where it came from, only where it went. And if you're good with money, you spend decades training yourself to spend less than you earn, to save, to watch that balance tick higher.
It's like building a brick wall to keep the wolves out. The higher it goes, the safer you feel. Over time, it becomes part of who you are, part of your pride. And then, one day, the tap gets turned off. From that moment, every dollar you spend comes out of the pot. A pot that drops when the market drops. A pot that has to last 30 years or more. Every withdrawal feels like pulling a brick out of the wall you spent your whole life building.
It feels unnatural, because it is. As a species, we've never done this before. Retirement is a modern invention. Years ago, most folks just had the age pension, a guaranteed income until the day they died. The money never really stopped. But super changed all that. Now you've got your own pot and full control over it. That control is a gift, but it's also a huge weight, because now you have to work out how much you can safely spend without knowing how long you'll live, what the markets will do, or whether you'll need care one day.
A Nobel Prize winner named William Sharpe called this the nastiest, hardest problem in finance. And you're trying to solve it with a brain that hasn't had an upgrade in hundreds of thousands of years. Our minds run on fear. A rustle in the grass, probably the wind, but it might be a lion. The ancestor who assumed lion every time is the one who survived. So you've inherited a mind that sees danger everywhere and treats every loss like an emergency.
But here's the good news. Brains can be trained. Do something long enough, attach a good feeling to it, and it becomes automatic. If you're a good saver, that's exactly what you've done. You've spent 30 years teaching yourself that the good feeling comes from not spending. So no, you can't just flick a switch at retirement and undo all that. Nobody can. But the same training that got you in can get you out.
Let me show you how we did it with Ron. When he called, he was 63, retired about 18 months. After a divorce in his 40s, he'd knuckled down and built up around $1.3 million in super and outside it. And he was spending just $2,500 a month, barely touching it.
Funny thing is, Ron didn't call me to spend more. He called because he wanted his investments to earn a higher return. He wanted the money working even harder. He had no idea there was a problem.
When I asked why he wasn't spending more, he had reasons. Good ones, he thought. The markets felt shaky. What if there's a crash? What if he needs aged care one day like his old man did? What if he became a burden? He was a proud bloke. And whatever he didn't spend would just go to his kids anyway, so where's the harm?
Every reason sounded sensible. They probably sound sensible to you too. So how did we get Ron from there to spending twice as much and loving it? First, we showed him where he was headed. If he kept on his current path, his money would just keep growing. He'd hit his 90s with more than he started with. Millions of dollars of unspent trips, memories, and good times gone. Time he could never get back.
Then came the part that really landed. Ron kept saying it'd all go to his kids, so I showed him the truth about that. Australia has no death tax. Everyone believes their super passes on clean, but super is different. When your super goes to adult children, the taxable part gets hit, around 17% to the tax office. On a big super balance, that's tens of thousands of dollars, maybe over 100 grand, going straight to the ATO instead of your kids.
Ron hated that. He loved watching his pot grow, but he could not stand the idea of handing a fortune to the taxman. And it gets worse the bigger the pot grows. Now this is exactly the kind of thing most people get wrong on the paperwork because nobody explains it plainly. That's why I put the whole process, setting up your pension, drawing it down the right way, keeping the taxman's hands off it, into my guide, the Turning 60 Paperwork Playbook. Every form, every step in plain English. The link's in the description and the pinned comment. Right, back to Ron.
So we made a plan. We stress-tested a much higher spend against decades of real market history. Even through wars and crashes, a sensible spending rate almost never ran the pot dry. The far bigger risk was dying with millions left over. That got Ron out of his own head, because left alone, your imagination only ever runs the disaster movie. History shows you both the bad years and the good. But a chart isn't enough to undo 30 years of habit, so we used a few simple tricks. First, we set up an automatic monthly payment from his super into his bank, like a wage. No logging in, no watching the markets, no deciding what to sell. Just money arriving the way it used to. Distance from the noise.
Second, he opened a separate fun account. Money in there was there to be spent, guilt-free. And third, when that old voice piped up mid-purchase, "This feels wrong, you're wasting money," we didn't argue with it, we just named it. There's frugal Ron again, the bloke with the short arms. Hold a thought at arm's length like that and it loses its grip.
None of it happened overnight, but 3 years on, Ron's living a life he didn't even know he was missing. He got a gardener, a cleaner. He flies at civilised hours now instead of the 4 a.m. cheapie. Best of all, he started helping his kids and grandkids while he's still here to enjoy it with them. Money spent on time, health, and the people he loves.
So here's the truth, mate. If you've been a good saver your whole life, spending it might be the hardest thing you ever do. But you've earned it. Don't be the richest bloke in the cemetery. Look after yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.